Do you find yourself using the same connectors over and over when it comes to speaking? Let's check out some ways to get you in shape for the IELTS speaking test.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped.
Hey guys, I'm Chris. I'm a Canadian English teacher currently based in Dubai, and this is episode 48 of Hacking IELTS. If you're joining us for the first time, this is a YouTube channel and a podcast dedicated to helping new and intermediate IELTS test takers understand the exam and attain higher results. Today, we're going to get into connectors for the speaking test, as well as a couple of expressions that are regional for native English speakers. But first, I want to mention a couple of things. One, we have 2 courses available for you over at BlueBrain.app.
Yay!
If you're getting prepared for your speaking test, check out our course, 10 Hacks for the Speaking Exam, which will help you prepare with tips and hacks for speaking. Next, we have 10 hacks for the listening component of IELTS. This course will provide an overview of what to expect for this section of the exam and provide some tips for listening. Okay, let's jump into this week's episode.
Let's do this.
Of course, you've heard of the term fluency, and you may or may not know that this is actually 25% of the IELTS speaking mark, which falls under fluency and coherence. Let's take a look at Band 6 on the IELTS speaking rubric now. I highly recommend you find this document just so you know how your speaking is going to be assessed. You might be asking, why Band 6? Well, this band indicates where a speaker is competent, and it's the borderline where anything under this band suggests we need a lot more improvement for our speaking ability. So if we look at Band 6 on the rubric, you'll notice that it states the test taker is willing to speak at length, though may lose coherence at times due to occasional repetition, self-correction, or hesitation. We've covered hesitation in earlier shows where the candidate gets hung up or stuck depending on using or ah. Repetition is the habit of relying on the same words over and over, such as like, so, or actually.
I'm always weird about they wanted to watch it together, and I was like, well, I don't want to sit there with them.
Repetition could also be pedaling on the same word until you can find the thoughts that you want to express. And finally, we have self-correction. What I mean is what I meant to say. Now, one of the requirements you have for the exam is to provide your opinion on questions you're going to be asked by the examiner. You might be asked if you like particular places or activities. For example, do you like playing video games?
Heck yeah!
One tip for you guys is not just what you say, but how you say it. Actually, I'm not really a fan of gaming, and I feel it's a bit of a time waster. This is opposed to, actually, I'm a bit of a game junkie, and once I start, it's pretty hard to stop. Can you hear the differences between these two responses using the same word? Intonation is huge in English and can communicate just as much as the actual words. Oh, and you may have also heard in both responses, a bit of. In the first example, we hear that gaming is a bit of a time waster, while in the second example, the speaker is a bit of a game junkie. We use this expression to indicate a small amount, but what we actually are doing is understating something. Here's another example. I'm a bit nervous about my speaking test as it's only a week away. The speaker is actually understating the anxiety concerning the upcoming exam. Another way you can share your opinion is by using honestly or to be honest. You may choose to share your opinion with these two, but the problem I personally see is that many candidates overuse honestly and to be honest. Be careful, guys, of using them sparingly. The same thing applies to using actually and so. These are words that people tend to repeat and just pedal on. Something really interesting about the English language is that it can be fairly regional. What I mean is, certain people end up using a few words that are common to the UK or Canada, Australia, or the States. For instance, it's quite common for Brits to use the word right at the end of a sentence. Canadians and Americans, depending on their location, may use, you know what I mean, at the end of a sentence. And as a Canadian, I notice that we tend to start a lot of our sentences using the word so. And I'm pretty sure you may have heard that Canucks Canadians have a tendency to use a at the end of our sentences.
I'm Bob McKenzie, this is my brother Doug.
How's it going, eh?
Oh, hey there. You having some car troubles, eh?
I try not to do that. If you're emphatic and you want to show how much you are in favor of an activity, you might use absolutely. I absolutely love gaming. Maybe you're not nuts about games, but you do play from time to time. I kind of like playing video games, though this is fairly informal. To be a bit more formal, I somewhat enjoy playing video games. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, no, I'm not really into gaming, or I'm not a big gamer, or I'm not a fan of gaming. Did you notice that I'm not repeating the phrase video games? It's already assumed that we're discussing this topic, so to repeat the phrase over and over sounds wooden and repetitive. Let's move on to another type of question you may have and how to respond. For instance, do you think financial education is important? If your answer is yes, you could say, definitely, it's pretty much essential. You might have heard European teachers state, yes, I reckon it's essential. And you know what? This is absolutely fine. Are you catching that regionalism again?
Reckon.
In North America, most people tend to say, it's pretty much essential, or it's pretty much a no-brainer. But in the UK, reckon is much more common than in North America, unless perhaps someone's from the deep south.
I reckon I'll have me some of the bacon.
Let's continue this topic of connectors and regionalism in our next episode. Okay, this wraps up things for this week. Did this episode help you out? Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, and we have 2 new courses that are available at the course site BlueBrain. Check out BlueBrain.app for all of your course needs. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.